Fantabulous. All right, let's get going. Anything out there that anyone wants to call out to pay close attention to or want to ask specific questions about now? In general? No? I swear, if all of you are quiet on this one, I don't know what I'll do, but I'll be angry. All right, let's hop into this 29.8 Studio Angular Part 2. At the end of the first mission planner Studio, multiple components display data about the mission. Your job is to allow the user to update the mission plan by adding user interaction. Sounds like we're going to be getting into some interaction stuff, aka events. Cool. 29.8.1, getting started. For this Studio and the next, you will clone some starter code from GitHub. Fork the Angular Mission Planner repository. I'm going to go ahead and click on that link, open up a new tab. I'm going to go over here to the code, timeout, almost forgot. Click on the fork, working on my repository. Ooh, that would have been a bad day. Do not forget to fork, because then you won't be able to push. Get there. Awesome. Going to click on code, going to copy that link, come back over here, open up my terminal. Remember, to anybody out there that is on a Windows machine, do not use PowerShell. PowerShell is not what you're going to want to do for most of these tasks. You're going to want to stick with your CMD command prompt or your Git bash that you installed for class. All right, now that I'm here, I had to change directory, drop a directory back into my LC folder. I know I'm in LC folder because of right here. What I'm going to do also is type in clear. Just the word clear is going to, of course, clear my console there for me, my terminal. One more time, there. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Awesome. All right, and now what I'm going to do is say git clone and paste that link in there, press enter, and it comes right onto our machine, just like that. It's beautiful and magic. All right, hopping back over in the terminal, navigate to the project folder that you used for part 1 in your root Angular practice directory. Clone your fork to the computer. Technically I did not do that. So cd into, I'm going to remove it and move it over to my Angular practice, because I believe I made one, right? I read it too fast. So what I'm going to do is cd into Angular-LC. There we go. Cd into this rm. Oh, no, that's what I'm going to do. I don't want that. What I'm going to do is type in rm-rf and then type in Angular-LC101. That's going to remove the entire directory for me. Type in ls, make sure it's actually gone. It is. Now I'm going to change directory into Angular practice. If anyone's following along with that, just disregard what I did there. I cloned into the wrong repository. Type in, now I'm in Angular practice, so now I'm going to type in git clone and then, geez Louise. All right, I'm going to hop back over and get that link again. Apparently I copied something wrong. Okay, we're all good. Git clone and try to paste again. There we go. Press enter. Now we have it in the right repository. Wow, 15 minutes just to get the dang thing on our machine. All right. Whew, we're good there. So we cloned and forked it to our computer. Awesome. Use Git Status to verify that you are on the branch Studio-2. If not, use Git Checkout to switch to it. Let's go and see that. I'm going to say Git branch to check the status of where I am. Oh, I'm not in any directory. That's why I got that. If you get a not a Git repository, it means that we're not in a Git repository. So I need to cd into that Angular-LC practice. There we go. Now I can type in git branch. I am just falling off at the seams today. Falling apart at the seams. I can't even say my words right. All right, branch. Okay, I am in Studio-2. Awesome, we're good to go here. So use git checkout to switch to it. Well, it was the only one I saw, so we're fine. Run npm install to download the dependencies. All right, let's go and do that. npm I or npm install, either one is good with me. I'm going to let this install. I'm going to read a little bit forward while it's doing that. Run ng-serve to build and serve the project. All right. Well, we have an npm I and an ng-serve, so we're going to have a moment. Feel free to, well, you can't fast forward because it's not a video. It's actually, we are live. So you're going to tell me a dad joke or a joke in general or just something interesting about your day. Or I won't move forward. Somebody talks.
I have a question.
Oh, I'll take questions too. Everyone's like, thank you, Sydney, for talking.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Is it like more efficient to do this in here instead of doing it in the terminal in VS Code, or is it just a preference?
It's all about location. This is just my preference. I usually have a terminal always running, so I
Mhm.
like to keep my things separated. I could always just run it in Visual Studio Code. I don't even have the thing open. I guess I could do that while we're waiting. I don't really run with a terminal inside of my my Visual Studio Code. Just again, out of preference, just because I like more space for code. But again,
Okay. Mhm.
yep. So let's see. Downloading here. Well, my computer probably wouldn't run slow if I didn't have like 18 things. Almost there. Come on. Come on, buddy. There we go. Nope, no, I wanted. There we go. I need. Excuse me. I need open.
And one more. Is there ever a time we'll ever need to like worry about the warnings we get when we do the npm install?
No, not necessarily. Unless you see an error, that's when there's a problem. But if you just see warnings, vulnerabilities, things like that, at this point, you definitely do not need to worry about it.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I'm going super slow today too. There we go. Single click, open. Some issues? No. Okay. Good. All right. Looks like we're A-okay here. All right. Awesome. So our npm installed. I know it installed because I come in here and I see node modules. When you do an npmi, node modules directory gets created with all this stuff that it takes for us to run inside of it. So we are good. All right. Let's hop back over to our directions, see what we need to do next. So we're on to 29.8.2, review the starter code. Oh, guess what? That's what we did. Whew. The starter code is in this for the studio, similar to the solution for the first mission planner, but with a few notable changes. Let's talk about those notable changes. 29.8.2.1, editable mission name. And the mission name can now be edited by clicking on the text, changing the text in the input box, and then updating by clicking save or pressing the enter key. Review the code in the source app header.component.html, and also the component.ts files to see how this feature was implemented. Let's go ahead and see that real quickly. While I'm doing that, also I'm going to type in ng-serve here just to get our server up and running while we go explore that code. So, I'm sorry, wow, the header component. We'll go into header, see that it's our TS. Let's go and take a check at the HTML here. Hopefully it's more than that. Yeah, awesome. Bring it over a little bit. All right. Well, very interesting stuff because this is what we kind of learned today. So I'm seeing some events here, seeing that we're bringing in data from our file itself. Awesome, awesome. All right, cool. So we're going to be getting into some cool stuff today, and the header.component.ts. Awesome. All right, our server is all up and running. So what I'm going to do next is actually open it up, and I want to see it. They also gave me a visual, or gave us a visual about what it's supposed to look like. So that's what I kind of want to see. Let's see it happen. So if I come up here and click, it says, oh, look at that. Press save. It looks like it all works. Nice. So what do we have to do today? This looks like it's fine. All right, so it's all working. Any questions up to this point? Okay. So on to 29.8.2.2, crew array of objects. Open up the crew.component.ts in VS Code. Notice that on line 10 that a crew array is defined. The array of objects will be used to display the crew. Each crew member has a name, a first mission, and a first mission property. If the first mission is true, it means that it is the first mission for that person. So this is in the crew.component.ts file. So let's go see that real quick. Crew.component.ts. Awesome. So it looks like they are exactly what they said. There's a crew member right here, perfect. Or a crew array. So it's an array of objects. We know it's an array of objects because TypeScript luckily tells us it's an array of objects. So neat. Cool. Let's see what we need to do with it. And they even put it here. I didn't notice that. I should have just looked down there. Oh well. 29.8.3 requirements, the good stuff. All of these features are only temporarily alter the data. If you refresh the page, the original data will reappear. That is correct. We talked about that a little bit in lecture. When you refresh a page, it's basically telling like your application to restart. When you restart an application, your computer forgets everything. In Unit 2, we'll learn more about how to have that data more persist. So on to 29.8.3.1, edit the rocket name. The rocket name should be clickable and editable like the mission name. Alter the header.component.html and the header.component.ts file to allow the user to edit the rocket name. All right, so the rocket name should be clickable and editable like the mission name. Okay, so if we go back over here, it's basically saying, I believe, this needs to be clickable, change it to a text box, and then let's see what it does. So we have to go back. We should really see all this stuff. So we press save, it goes back to the original thing. Okay, interesting. All right, so that is all they give us. So we just have to do all of that ourselves. So what we know right now, if we look at our website, is that we do have working code that does the exact same functionality that we want for the carrier rocket. When this happens, and you know there's working code that strongly looks like what you need to do, we strongly use that code as a reference point. You already did the work, you already did the critical thinking, why repeat it and waste your time? Let's go ahead and use this as a strong reference. So that being the case, I believe, like they said in the header component, for the HTML, they have the HTML for this section. So that being the case, what I'm going to do is copy. Oh, and also they have the carrier rocket here down here as well. So what I'm going to do is that I see mission name down here. I'm going to copy this content below. I'm also going to take out rocket name. Why did I take out rocket name? Because they don't have mission name up here. They have a mission name over here. So I'm going to paste this code in. Now, one thing to note when we are strongly referencing code is that we took it from the mission and we brought it down to carrier rocket. These are apples and oranges, though they are being cut by the same knife. We're using the same code to do the same thing, but they are two different areas of the application. And this is the case. Strongly look at your code and make sure you are changing every little detail about, or especially with the variable names. So I see editing mission and editing mission block. We're not editing mission anymore. We're editing the carrier rocket, or we'll just say editing rocket to make it easier. So I don't have to type out all of that. And then we'll say edit rocket block. Again, we changed from editing mission to editing rocket. Instead of mission name, we're going to say rocket name. I believe that's possibly it. Rocket name, I think, already exists. So let me double check in the TS file here. It does, so we're still good there. So rocket name. Down here again, we say edit rocket block. Update mission. We don't exactly know this one just yet. Oh, no, mission name. So it's going to actually say update rocket instead, right? We'll say rocket.value. Rocket name. Update rocket. Rocket.value. Okay, so we save this. Now, if you're asking yourself, well, Kyle, none of these variables exist, you're absolutely correct. They don't exist. We will have to work our way up from here. So it's going to double check to make sure we've gotten everything, because I clearly missed this right here. We need to say this one is rocket. So it's good to note also what we named everything. So editing rocket, edit rocket block, same thing. The rocket.value, rocket corresponds to this variable right here. So we're good to now take it to the next step. This was the visual portion. Now we need to do the brain. The brain exists in which file? Where's our brain located?
In the TS file?
The TS file, very good. So in here is where all the thinking goes. This is where our true code lives, the JavaScript, TypeScript. Take a look at this. Update mission is right here. Remember, when we copied and pasted that code down there, we don't call it update mission anymore. We called it update rocket. Which is nice is that it's technically it's a rocket name, so we can actually keep that parameter the exact same. So that's fine, because we're just updating the name. This is just information that's being passed in at this parameter here. So now we have two class variables here, mission name and editing mission. Well, it's no longer mission name, it's a rocket name. It's no longer editing mission, it's editing rocket. Now take a close look. We are getting red squiggles under editing rocket, not under rocket name. Note that rocket name was created beforehand. So we're good there. We don't have to do that code. Editing rocket, however, has not been created. So that's the next thing we need to do. So let's go and create that up here. Editing rocket, just like editing mission, because we're strongly referencing this code, is a Boolean. We're going to set it to false. So there we go. We're good so far. I'm not seeing any red lines. Doesn't mean we're good necessarily. I gotta come back here and save, but let me double check. So I gotta go through it. Okay, I did the visual part. I did the brains. I'm looking for any styling. I think we're good with the styling. So I think we're okay to go ahead and test this. Let's go and check it out and see what happens. I'm gonna come over here, press refresh. Come up, click on Plasma Max, add a few X's there, and it looks like it works. Oh no, is it Plasma Ray? Plasma after that, something like Halo. I don't remember. Gosh, I'm a nerd. All right, so Plasma Gun or Plasma whatever, the carrier rocket is all done. So it works on both. So Mars 35. Press save. Ooh, I don't know. One ion charge or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, it looks like this functionality is working. So I'll hop back over to the code for a moment. Any questions on this section?
Kyle, like the hashtag rocket variable, where is this variable visible? Is it only in the HTML file or in the whole folder?
We created our variable for rocket here. We know that because there's a hashtag in front of it. So to answer your question, it was created and only can be referenced easily within our HTML file. That's typically where we'll reference it or use it. We use it right here and right here by passing that value in the text box. Yep.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Going once, going twice. All righty, let's keep on going then. Hopping back over to our studio, we are now on to 29.8.3.2. Use the ng4 to display crew. Replace the static list of li tags in the crew.component.html with an ng4 that loops over the crew array. Add this code to your crew.component.html. Well, that's easy enough. Let's go ahead and do that. That's nice. I love it when they give you the code. It's like, all right, we don't have to think. That's nice. But we still got to think about where we're actually going to place this. So we're in the crew.component.html. Can't forget that. We can't relax too much. So crew.component.html. And what they said is that they don't like, this is what they mean by static. It's hard-coded, as in we just wrote them out. We're going to make it more dynamic, more customizable by allowing Angular to loop through it using that ng4. And we'll loop through each member of the crew by saying let member of the crew, and then we post member.name. Now this is something interesting. We haven't seen member.name or anything dot whatever in these kinds of variables. Why we do the dot notation, if you already haven't deduced from it, if we look at the crew array, we'll hop back over there to the TS file, is that the crew array, again, is objects. And specifically, we want the name inside of this object. How do we unlock a property of an object? We use dot notation. In this case, we want the name. So we say member.name, because again, remember, member is the variable we're using inside of this loop. So we save that, we come back over to our dashboard, we refresh, but we shouldn't see any change because instead of hard coding these three out there, they're just pasted back in. If you want to, you can go rearrange the object array to see if it's actually working, a good way to double check, but that's up to you. So, hopping back over to our studio, that was it for that one. Any questions on that? All right, let's keep going then. 29.8.3.3, display first mission status. If a crew member's first mission property is true, then display the text dash first next to their name. So I'm assuming that means on the right-hand side of their name. So it looks like Ellen will be her first mission. So let's go ahead and do that. It looks like add this code right after the member's name in the crew.component.html. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. Now, if I bring this back over to the code, where I'm going to want to put it is inside of the li brackets. How I know that is because they provided a span to me. A span means they want it to be in line with the current text. And we also want it to be part of the bullet point, aka the list item. The list item begins and ends over here. So that text needs to be inside of those elements, those li brackets or tags. So let's go ahead and save this and see what happens now. Come back over to our dashboard and we see that dash first is now displayed for Ellen here. Awesome. Any questions on that? All right, then. We're going to keep on going. Guys, keep giving me crickets. 29.8.3.4, add crew members. Allow crew members to be added to the list. To create a new crew member, two pieces of information are required. Number one, the crew member's name, and two, the first mission status. We will use an input box and a checkbox to collect the data. All right. So, and this is the example here. Hopefully that everything works at the very end. I like how they put these little GIFs in here. I do like that. Add this code to the bottom of the crew.component.html. So what I'm going to do is copy that and do exactly what they said. Crew.component.html. And I'll just paste it there and press save. If you're asking yourself why we haven't done any forms or replacing forms in here, remember, we're directly trying to influence our web page with these changes. We're not really doing any gets or posts right now in Angular. So don't think we just forgot about forms or they don't matter. Just right now, we are not going to be needing them because we're using Angular to do what we're trying, like to manage the interactions with our properties instead of the form tag. So that being said, let's go and see it, make sure it looks A-okay. All right, it does. First mission, checkbox, add. Nice. All right, let's keep on going. Line 1 creates an input that declares the local variable name. Line 2 defines a checkbox that declares the first mission variable. Line 3 creates a button that, when clicked, sends the new name and checkbox value to the add function. We know that because it says add right here in that nice little function area. Awesome. This new function adds the new crew member to the roster. In the crew.component.ts file, include this code for the add function. All right, look very specifically where they tell us to add this, the TS file. So we're going to copy this function here, hop back over to our Visual Studio Code, go down to crew component TS. I'm going to paste it below the ng on init. If you're noticing where I continuously post these functions, notice that I do not post it above this, I post it below it. I also always post it below the constructor. That is very much on purpose. I always do things by how they're compiled. It helps us out when we're trying to go back through the timeline if there's ever a bug. Your class variables are always declared first. Your constructors is always ran first, and then ng on init is ran whenever everything has been constructed, and then anything else matters after that. That is the chronological order of what's going on in this class and why I posted there. Do you really care? No, but I'm telling you, just in case, maybe one day you're like, okay, Kyle, thank you. That one time you bored me to death. Like, whatever, just trying to help. That's good. All right, let's keep going. 29.8 point, oh, time out. We didn't even do the thing. I'm getting way ahead of myself. All right, we added the add function. Let's hop back into this. Added the add function. What I want to do is I'm going to put Kyle because I'm going to space. Yeah, there we go. And I press add. Oh, look at that. All right, we're going to add somebody else. Who wants to go to space? Anyone else want to go to space?
I do.
All right, Kansas. There we go. And it's going to be your first mission. Nice. All right, so even the first mission stuff works as well. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Sweet. We're going to do awesome out there. We would do so cool in space. Like I just want to do those planes that like go straight down and like give you 0 G-force or whatever, so you can like pretend you're like gravity. Have you ever seen those? Anybody know what I'm talking about? Like they like, okay, it's like a plane. It's like literally a 737 like nose dives and like will make you have like 0 G's to train the astronauts before they actually go into space. I always wanted to do that. Like so cool. Yeah, yes. I'm crazy about it.
I want to do that.
Okay, Amy, you can come with me. Heck
okay.
Yeah. Even though I'm like always afraid of a plane going down, and get into a plane that's about to go down is mind-boggling to me, still want to do it.
Then we can jump out. We can parachute out.
Yeah. I still have never done that. I chickened out my first time. I'm hoping to do it here soon for real one other time. All right. Any questions up to this point about what we did? Cool. All right, let's keep moving on then. 29.8.3.5, remove crew members. Allow removing of crew members by adding a button next to each person in the crew list. When the remove button is clicked, the remove function in the crew component will be called, which deletes that person from the crew array. All right, and note, we're noticing that too. It has that remove button. Awesome. All right, add line 4 to the file crew.component.html. Be sure to put it before the closing end li bracket, or excuse me, li element, so that the button appears next to the search item in the crew list. Sounds good. So like that long-winded thing is that we just need to add this line in here. Now, when we go to our code, we have everything inline right now, which inline means just horizontal. They turned it to vertical. So it's going to look a little different, but we'll deal with it. We'll deal with it. We'll be fine. So we're going to go over to the crew.component.html. As we said, li right now is inline. What we're going to do is we're going to make it vertical here, just line by line. There we go. Now it's looking a little bit more like what we just saw, and we need to paste in that line there. You could have also just copied the entire code there and just pasted it over your LIs or your list items. Awesome. So we have the button in here. Let's go over to our view, and it looks like the remove buttons are now there. But if we click on it, nothing happens because we have not implemented the brain, the function side, the JavaScript. So let's go see what we need to do for that. So as we predicted, add the remove function shown below to the crew component in the crew.component.ts file. Again, very much notice it's very obvious, or it is more obvious possibly right now, but in assignment 6, they will be telling you exactly which files to put these things in. Always double check that you are putting in the correct file. So this is the crew.component.ts one, and we need to add this function here, remove. So I'm going to copy that, bring it over here to our crew.component.ts file, and I'm going to paste it below add. Just like that. All right, so remove is there. If we go over to our crew.component.html, it looks like it is calling the remove function right here. So we have 2 pieces of the puzzle there. We don't need to do any styling, so I think we're all good. Let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. We come in here, double check, we're always refresh, just for good housekeeping. Always make sure you refresh once if you don't think anything's working. Remove, awesome. Send me up into space, there we go. Remove that, remove, add, we're good. So it looks like this remove button is working properly. Awesome. Any questions on that section? Nope. Make it a whole soundboard and one's going to be the Jeopardy music. Like I want that. I need that. All right. 29.8.3.6. I forgot water. Edit crew members. Somebody like voice is getting all raspy. Finally, we are going to allow the user to edit crew members who have already been added. Number one, if the crew member name is clicked and then their name should be replaced with a text input and a save button. Okay, so it's kind of going to be looking like that mission in the rocket name that we were doing originally. So all good there. So number two, when the save is clicked, the input and save button are replaced by the text-only version of the name. Number three, only one crew member can be edited at a time. Now that one is a little bit trickier. That's interesting. So let's go ahead and see what they want us to do. We need to add a click event to the member name. Number four, put member.name inside of a span that has a click handler. All right, let me see what we need to add the click event to the member name. So, click handler. I'm drawing a blank here of what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Let's go ahead and take that. And so what we need to do. So first things first, we need to hop into the crew member. So at least we know where we're going to be starting here. And I believe this is what they were talking about. Oh, not that one. We're looking for this one. Okay, I see what they're doing now. They want to turn this into a span. I think they might have given us the code below, but I didn't see for sure. So we'll just put that in there for right now. And they said do a click event, but I don't know exactly what we're going to be doing with the click event. So we're going to hold on to that. All right, make the li in the crew.component look like the code below. Okay, so they do give us the code, and this is what they want us to do. Okay, they want to call it edit. So what I'm going to do is just copy that. There we go. So I try to do it on my own, but you know, it's going to be nicer if I just take their code, what they wanted, mainly because they also have this little class in here that makes it look like it's clickable. So that's nice. But it looks like they're introducing a new function here. So we're going to do something with that here momentarily. Let's go back and see what we need to do. So we completed this section. So on to number 6, add this property to the crew component in the crew.component.ts file. The property member being edited represents the crew member who is currently being edited. So I'm going to copy this code. As always, free code. That's awesome. Hop over to the crew.component.ts and class variables. So class variables go on top. I usually organize by size. Mainly, why? Because I might be just absolutely insane. I don't know, but I like it. It looks fine. But like smaller ones on top, I don't know. So I always put my smaller ones on top. Continuing on, we have included that new class variable. Number 7. Next, add an edit function to the crew component in the crew.component.ts. This function will set member being edited variable to be equal to the crew member who is being clicked. All right, let's go ahead and copy that. Awesome. Come down here and we're going to paste it. Perfect. So we take in the member, which is an object. So it's going to be one of these objects up here. And it's going to be set to that new class variable that we just created. The one up here. So that's all cool, but we're going to have to allow it to display stuff. If we go ahead and just check this out right now, I believe if we just, I'll go and refresh just in case. We come over here, nothing too much has changed. So we still need to do some things before we continue on. That should be edit tools. Let's keep going. All right, number 8, in the edit state, an input box with a save button will appear. But for now, the input and save won't have any functionality, as we just noticed. Make your crew.component.html file look like the code below. So it looks like they want us to just copy this whole shebang and put it in there. So that's what I'm going to do. Copy the entire thing. Come over to our hard work. Why don't we just skip down this thing to begin with and just paste it in? Just kidding. Go always go line by line. Do not skip around. There we go. We pasted in that HTML. Awesome. Let's see what it changed.
I found a few locations that align near you.
Really? I didn't say your name. She's been going off like more and more lately. Sorry, that was my Google in the background. She was just trying to help me find some good restaurants. All right. We pasted in our HTML just like that. Awesome. And then finally, before we actually take a look at the rendering, we're going to make the edit state update the member name when the save is clicked. So update the input and button tags to look like this. So we're going to copy that, just like that. There we go. Hop back over, and I need to place it right here. So we're going to update this block of code here. Awesome. So what it added, if we actually take a look at what it truly did, is that it updated some things on the input. Well, actually, they gave us this code, so they just want us to input that. So we updated a lot of things on the input, mainly gave it a variable name. We said keyup.enter, which basically, whenever you press enter, it will do this function. That's another event. And then, of course, sets the value to the member.name. So that's perfect. And then the save button. Cool. So I'm going to pause here. Any questions before we actually go see this thing in action? Okay. The biggest thing about this one is just seeing if we are pasting this in the correct location, which is quite a battle sometimes. So I'm going to go and click on this, and I see that it is editable. So I'm just going to say it is now me here. Looks like save is not exactly saving, so that's an interesting one. So let's go and take a look back. Looks like we haven't implemented the save function, so that makes sense. But in general, it looks like we are able to create, or excuse me, swap out the actual name for the text box. So that is quite a feat right there, and that has successfully been done. So in order for the save button to work, because if we right click, press inspect, take a look at our console, I believe it's going to be complaining to us that there is no save function found. You'll see a lot of red in here. So let's go ahead and implement that function then. We come over here, we copy save, just like that. And we come back over to our crew.component.ts, paste in the save function there. Make sure our code is always formatted properly. Save, save, come back over. It's going to refresh. Oop, not what I wanted to do. Come in here. Going to refresh again on me already. Type in Kyle or Lyle, either one. However I'm feeling today. Save that, and we look like the name has been updated. So we're all good there. Always double check your stuff. Make sure and just try to find a bug in your code, honestly. Always test it through and through, because if you don't find the bug, someone else will, and sometimes it's your boss. So always test your code through and through. All right, it looks like this functionality is working. Let's hop back over here. And it looks like that is all we got for those sections before we hit the bonus mission. So this studio is technically done skis. So any questions about anything we've covered thus far? No? How do you feel about it? Anybody have like any kind of issue with it at all?
I've just got some red squiggle lines under some of the like dot name and first mission, but probably just copied something wrong.
Okay.
It's just simple.
No. All good, all good. Yeah, always just double check this paste. There could be just a small little, another symbol or character in there that could cause it too. Awesome. All right, in that case, let's go ahead and move forward. On to 29.8.4 bonus missions. Before starting any of these bonus features, be sure to commit and push your work. All right, I'll go and commit it, but I won't push it. So what I'm going to do is stop our ng server by pressing that Control C. I'm going to say a Git Status to see all the fun stuff that we've created. Look at all that. And then I'll say Git, not Git, Git commit, and then dot. What am I doing? Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, everybody. I am completely out of it. Git add period git commit dash m completed studio minus bonus missions. All right, there we go. Everybody ready to hop in to these bonus missions? Perfect. Okay, cool. All right, let's do this. Number 1, don't allow duplicate names to be added to the crew. All right. Now, in order to do this one, I have to ask myself, okay, no duplicate names. Where do I have all of the names and the one that's about to be added? Can anyone tell me a location?
TS file?
The TS file, anywhere specifically in the TS file. Where do we have the person who's about to be added and all of the crew at the same time?
The crew object?
The crew object has all of our crews, but when the add member function, absolutely right. This is where we have the member that's about to be added or wants to be added, and also access to the crew array. So this is where we're gonna have to do our validation. So how we can do that is we can do either a for loop, a for each, we can do a filter. How do you all want me to do this validation? Make a certain way.
Just a for loop.
You want to do a for loop? Let's just do a for loop. All right. So we're going to say, oh, you know what? We can do a for. Let's just do a for loop. Yeah. Okay. So for, I'm going to say let crew of, or member of crew, because we'll do a for of this dot crew, excuse me. Do for of, or we can do the for, the traditional for. Which one would you prefer?
More practice with this one.
So you want this one? Okay, perfect. So what we're going to do is that we need to see if the member dot name is equal to the member name. So member name is coming from this parameter, and member dot name is whatever instance or whatever member we just pulled out of that crew array. So we need to check it. And by doing that, we are creating a conditional, so we wrap it in that if statement. So here's the fun part. If, why are you under highlighted on there? We'll talk to you later. So if we want to do this, what we can say is that we can just say return. So if the name equals the member's name, then we're just going to return out of this function here, this add function. Remember, return gets out of whatever function it's in, the immediate function that it's in. So it leaves the add function immediately. Therefore, line 30 never gets executed if the members' names match. Technically fine, I'll just do recommendations so you can't yell at me. Ha, take that TypeScript. So what was happening is that member.name technically does not exist on object because it doesn't have its key is not technically defined. Remember, TypeScript is like bumper lanes. It really is going to complain about every little thing. So if you really want to get around it where you don't want to have that squiggly on there, what we can just do is use bracket notation right there if we wanted to. So let's go ahead and see if this works. We're going to hop back over to our code here. Refresh the page. I forget that I not run ng-serve. Oh, we're on time too. Oh. Bonus mission stretches. It's like 7 pending stretches, but at 9 o'clock instead. Come on. 25%.
Kyle,
Yeah.
I have a random question.
What's up?
It's while creating like components, it seems to be faster if our director is under source app, right? If I just create it outside of that, it seems it takes way longer.
Oh, are you talking about when you run the generate?
Like ng generate component, yeah.
Oh, it might. I've never noticed. but it might on your computer.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never noticed that. It might take a little bit longer. It shouldn't take a lot longer.
Oh, for me, it's like noticeable because at first I thought if I run it outside of the app folder, it won't even run. But I tested and it ran, but it took very long.
Interesting. Yeah, it shouldn't do that. Maybe it's doing something extra. Hopefully it speeds up eventually. But yeah, you
Okay.
shouldn't see anything too noticeable.
All right.
All right, and we are back up and running. We're gonna come down here. We're gonna add, oh, excuse me. We're gonna add Kyle here. Add that. Move it over just a little bit. Let's try to add Kyle once again. Press add, and we see that we're not able to. I remove my name, add it back, try add it again. There we go. It is all gone. So that is validation there for not allowing duplicates. Any questions on this one? All right, let's keep going. Got a few other ones we got to do here. We're going to go back over to our studio and on to number 2, allow users to add equipment. All right, let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to be, again, highly referencing code. So it says add equipment. So we're going to go into the equipment components here. Take a look at all of this. Awesome, awesome. So what we're going to be doing is taking the crew component.html and again, highly referencing that exact stuff. So I'm going to copy the entirety of this code. Come over to our components.html, paste it in there, and I'm going to paste in experiments and also for each member of the crew. That is not correct. So we're going to go into our experiments.ts and we see that we have actually no array there. So we're actually have to do a bunch of stuff here. First things first, we're gonna actually have to get the array where I will put the array inside of the experiments component. Why are we building an array there? As you remember from the crew component, we need some kind of container to actually remember the information as we're adding it or removing it or editing it. If we take a look at the next 3 portions of that bonus missions, we're gonna have to do all of those things to this. So taking a look at our Angular portion, or excuse me, our bonus missions here, we're gonna have to edit the equipment, remove the equipment, oh, excuse me, add equipment, edit equipment, and remove equipment. So I'm gonna be knocking out a lot of these fairly quickly by strongly referencing the code before it. So in here, I'm gonna create experiments, which is going to be a string array. And that is going to be set to some stuff in here. I'm going to paste that in there. Set each of these to a string. Cool. There we go. So our experiments have been placed into an array. Fantastic. So now that we place them into an array, we come back over to our experiments.component.html, and we know now we can say let experiment of experiments. Remember, experiments being that class variable we just created, that our string array in our TS file. Now that we're able to do that, we're going to work our way down here. So as always, member being edited. Member being edited should now be experiment being edited. Does not equal experiment. So it's really just about replacing that code when we're strongly referencing code prior for functionality like this. So our else block can stay the same. We move down to the next one, edit. Edit, remember it should be now edit experiment. This one should be experiment.name. Believe that is it, but we don't need the .name anymore because it's not an object. We're not working with objects anymore, we're actually just working with string, which was a lot nicer, so we don't need that dot notation in there anymore. Next, we come down here to the first mission. Do experiments have a first mission? They do not. They just have names, whatever the experiment is. So I can actually remove this entire span here. We don't need that if anymore. And then we finally get to remove member. It's no longer member, it's experiment. So we replace member with experiment. Working our way down. We see nothing on that one. We see updated name. We're still gonna have a name for the experiment, so we can keep this so far. Update name.value, and then member in here again, we replace it with experiment. It's all about finding those little Easter eggs. Come back over here to see our value. It's no longer member.name. We're not dealing with an object, we're dealing with a string, so we replace it with that string name, which is experiment. Come down to line 21. We see the same thing there in the save. It's no longer member, it is experiment. Awesome. Continuing our way down. Name, perfect. We see hashtag name is good. First mission, this one should be, actually we do not need this checkbox anymore because it's no longer a first mission. We don't have first mission on experiments. So we can actually remove this, and we can also remove the first mission.checked, and we'll edit that in our add function later. Finally, for our name.value, we need that because that's name up there, so we're good. Any questions about what I'm doing here? Really, again, going line by line and seeing what we do need or what we need to tweak in order to bring it up to spec of what we're looking for. All right, we save that. We'll come back over to our here, and we see, I'll go and close this. We see experiments twice. That's okay. We needed to come here and see, one, we see the remove buttons and the add buttons, but why do we see it twice? Come back over to the code, we scroll up, we see that we left in the pre-existing experiments. So we'll remove that. We'll save that. Replace. And there we go. So we're good, but we still have no functionality there because we've implemented the visual portions of this, but we haven't implemented the brain, the actual code behind it to make this all possible. That's all in the JavaScript file. So let's go ahead and do that. Remember, we're strongly referencing our crew components. So I need to go get the crew's brain. So I copy everything up until the ng on init. We do not copy that one. I do copy the add, remove, edit, and save. Then bring it over to the experiments.ts file. And I paste it right below that ng on init. Now, this is where we have to go, again, line by line and correct those names. No longer member name, it's experiment name. And we no longer have is first in an experiment, so we can remove that Boolean. We'll keep this functionality also for not doing duplicates since we already have it here. So we can say this dot experiments and let experiment. We no longer need the bracket notation because remember, experiment name is just a string. It's not an object anymore. An experiment name up here, it's just a string. Moving on, this dot crew should be this dot experiment, it's plural. And we no longer push an object in there, but instead we push the experiment name. Awesome. We keep moving down because we're just a human compiler basically at this point. We go over to remove. It's no longer a member, it's an experiment. And it's no longer an object, it's a string. And here we say this dot experiments, index of experiment instead of member. This dot experiments, and then we splice it at that index that it's found. No more red, we continue moving on. Edit member, again, should be experiment. Object should be a string. Experiments being edited. Yeah, there we go. Edited. Should now be experiment. Ooh, and that should not be plural. Experiment being edited. And then also down here, we need to do that as well. Last thing, save should have a name and a member. Why do I need that one? That one is going to be a little bit different. No, 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 it won't. It won't. We're fine. Or will it? Oh no. It's gonna be a fun one. Okay. Well, let's finish up what we can do. So the experiment's being edited is a class variable. We know it's a class variable because it says this dot and then the name has a red squiggly under it, meaning it has not been defined yet. It's going to define it. So experiments being edited should be a string. And then we're just going to keep it like that. Perfect. All right. So in save here, we're going to have to go check out what the save does. So experiments.component, we go over to the save, updated name.value in the experiment. Okay, so the experiment does come in. So we can't just go by the member object anymore, can't update by reference, if you will. So what we have to do is that we need to find the index of the experiment. We say experiment, which is string, and name is the new string. There we go. Index. And what we're going to say is that this dot experiments at index equals the name, the new name. All right, so this save threw us a little bit for a loop here. We no longer could just update the object right there on the fly. We actually had to go find the index where it was in the array and update it. Now, could you have used an array of objects up here? Absolutely. You could have just done name. It just has one property in it. So I just simplified it to an array. So if you kept it as a list of objects, you could have actually just copied this stuff almost just verbatim. So any questions about what I've done so far on this? Well, here's the fun part. Let's go and see if it actually works. Say test. Oh, it doesn't work. Can we remove anything? We can't remove it. We just can't add something. So let's go and see what we have to do here for add. That doesn't work at all. Oh, it does work. It didn't work before. Let's try to refresh that. Yeah, see, it's not working. Let's go and right click, press inspect and see what's going on there. We hop open to the console and see what elements have loaded. Neat. Not getting errors in there. So what we need to do next, oh, because I'm looping through it and it's asking, so if you didn't see that, I asked if is experiment name equal to experiment name. If anyone has any guesses, that will always be true. Experiment name will equal experiment name because they're the same thing. So we need to actually change that experiment name to be experiment. There we go. Why I looked up here is because this is the add function. We press the add button, we go to the add function. So I knew that it might have been, the issue might have been here, most likely. That's why I looked over here. Save that, come back over, refresh. Let's try this again. Say test. Test again. It doesn't add because we have that validation in place. Awesome. We'll remove test, remove that. Come over here, and now we can press exclamation points and save it. And it looks like that is also working. So if we click on this, we can also press save, and it updates there too. So it looks like all that functionality is in place for experiments. So we are good there. Any questions about these 3 steps that we just did? Anything at all? All right. Final thing, I'm going to be doing experiments one more time, but I'm going to be doing it very fast because it's going to be very close to what we just did for equipment. Oh, and also I did it. All right, see, this is how much I am totally, you guys aren't helping me out here. Oh, I'm totally half awake right now. All right, I accidentally skipped over this section. I did experiments first. We actually need to do equipment. So that is my bad. I'm going to be now going through equipment a little bit faster. So final offering. Any questions before Kyle goes into full coder overdrive? All right. You'll see me at my full pace if you want. So what they want us to do is go over to equipment. Again, equipment and experiments are fairly similar to each other. I know that because if we come over here to equipment, they're just habitable dome, drones, food. They're single strings, unlike the crew members where they were a name and also if or if not is their first mission. So it's a bunch of strings here. So it's going to be a lot like experiments. So luckily, I can now reference experiments, which is even closer than the crew was. So that being said, I'm going to go to the experiments.component.html, copy our, select all, come back over to the equipment.component.html, come in here and paste it below. What I do is go line by line. I switch out equipment for experiments, or excuse me, vice versa, experiments for equipment. And then what I need to do is that I'm going to take all of these here very quickly, go over my TS file, come in here, and this is where I need to implement my equipment, EQUIPMENT, equipment array. That is a string array, and we're going to hard code that into those values that I just copied. I go ahead and paste in a comment there. I go ahead and paste all those values, take each one. We saw this just last time. Take the drones, just like that. Take food containers, just like that. And then we finally take oxygen tanks, just like that. Awesome. All right, going to go and remove that comment in there. Next thing I'm also going to do, well, I'm at it because I'm not going to run anything until everything is done. I'm going to go into the equipment.ts. I'm going to go ahead and copy all this functionality while we are there. I know that from the previous sections. I go over to equipment.ts, I paste this in below. I also know from previous experience that I'm also going to need this experiments being edited, but we're going to change it to equipment being edited. So we come back up here and we're going to paste that in there. So I will come back into this file whenever I am ready. I'm going to hop over to the equipment component.html and finish that up. I'm going to remove the hard-coded portions of it, also the H3 here. We don't need two of those. We go into our unordered list item, let experiment. Experiment should be equipment, EQIPMENT, just like that. And then everything else should be equipment, plural. I change out experiment for equipment being edited. It should be equipment, else block, that's all good. Edit equipment, this one should be equipment. Remove equipment, hopping down to our else block here, updated name, key enter, updated name, dot value is good. Experiment should be equipment. Coming over to our value in the far right, experiment should be equipment there as well. And then experiment should be equipment here too. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And then add name.value is fine because name is the variable right there. We save that, come back over to our TS file, come into here, we see experiments being added. That's fine because I'm in the wrong file. I need to do equipment. This is why they shouldn't make so many E words. I need you, please. Thank you very much. So equipment being added. Remember, it's no longer equipment. It's going to be, it's no longer experiment. It's going to be equipment, and that's what we need to go through and do. So I take out all equipment. If I just want to be extremely lazy, what I would do is do Control-Shift-R, or excuse me, Control-R. If my thing would want to work for me. Oh my God. Come on. There we go. Find and replace. So I don't want to find, or I want to find experiment, and replace it with equipment. I then go line by line and take a look at it. There we go. Equipment name, equipment. There. I would say don't do replace all, but I would say that this is going to save you a lot of button clicks. Just like that. Even though equipment name, son of a gun. Oh, because we can't call it equipment, so it's going to have to be tool for the individual ones. Dang it. Because equipment is technically plural. All right, equipment being edited. To be tough on me. All right, we're going to change equipment to tool then. Tool name. Equipment. That should be tool name. And then I'm going to go back to the other one and get that all fixed too. Equipment. Be easier if everything had an S on it. All right, tool being edited. should be tool, that should be tool, name, tool, index, equipment, index of tool. There we go. Index name, save that. Perfect. All right, so that was completed there. But now I have to go back to HTML because I did change a variable name. So we go back to equipment.component.html. Come back in here. Let tool of equipment, because equipment is our actual variable name. That was me just not understanding English very well. So tool being edited does not equal tool. That tool, 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 tool. And all right, let's double check our stuff. Good, 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 good. All right, let's save this, see what happens. Refresh that, come back over. We see that equipment is now there. Let's go ahead and remove one, remove two, remove three. We're good there. Let's edit oxygen tanks, exclamation points. Perfect, looks good. Someone give me an equipment. That would be something we bring to space. Who's still with me?
A drill?
Sure, a drill. Awesome, awesome. There we go, we can edit drill. Let's say drill bits now. And it looks like everything works. That was equipment in Hyperdrive. I apologize for that little variable name issue there, but that is it. Coming back over to our studio. That is all that we have there. And then if you want to do the sanity check, go for it. But I am just going to be stopping here at the bonus mission. So anything, any other questions, anything at all that we have covered at all today or previously that anyone has a question about?
Kyle, like
Yeah.
for cloning a different branch on a repository, do you need to create that branch on your local, or you can just do it, just copy the link on the GitHub?
So you always just clone repositories. Branches come with the repository when cloned. So you have a box, you clone the box. Inside of the box are your branches.
So they're already there.
Yes.
Oh, and
To
Kyle,
get,
another
real
thing
quick,
is,
real quick, to get them, also type in git fetch if you're not seeing them. GIT space FETCH.
okay. Well, it's because when I was doing Studio 3, and they say it's in the Studio 2 repository, but I can see on the repository on GitHub, but when I download it or clone it, I can't find it in local, so I need to use fetch, right?
Git fetch to see those branches. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everyone. Any final questions before we are all done here? All right. In that case, everyone, that's all I have. So we are all done here. Thank you guys very much.